You know what's wild? Finding out your entire childhood was just background noise to your brother's highlight reel. So here's the thing. I finally went no contact with my parents after 28 years of being the family's afterthought, and honestly, best decision I ever made. Let me paint you a picture of how ridiculous this got. My brother got a $40,000 wedding, full venue, open bar, destination rehearsal dinner, the works. When I got engaged 2 years later, my mom literally suggested I elope to save them money. Like she didn't even try to hide it. Just straight up said, "Weddings are so expensive, have you considered a courthouse thing?" Meanwhile, my brother's wedding had ice sculptures. Plural. But it wasn't just the wedding. That was honestly just the final straw that broke my back. This favoritism thing has been going on since we were kids. My brother could do no wrong. Failed a class. Oh, the teacher had it out for him. Got fired from his third job. The manager was unreasonable. Meanwhile, I graduated with honors, and my dad's response was, "That's nice," before going back to watching TV. The crazy part is how normalized it all felt growing up. I genuinely thought I was the problem. Like, maybe I just wasn't interesting enough or achieving the right things. Therapy helped me realize that no, having different standards for your kids based on favoritism is actually insane. My brother got his college paid for, all 4 years, plus his apartment. I got told that student loans build character. He crashed 3 different cars and they bought him a new one each time. I had to save for 2 years working part-time jobs just to afford a used Honda. When he wanted to start a business that went nowhere, they invested 15 grand. When I asked for help with a down payment on my first house, they said they couldn't afford it. The excuses were always wild too. "Your brother needs more support," they'd say. Support for what? Being mediocre? He was 25, living in their basement, playing video games while I was working 60-hour weeks and going to grad school at night, but somehow he needed more help. Family dinners were basically brother appreciation sessions. Every conversation somehow circled back to whatever he was doing. Got a new girlfriend? 20 minutes of discussion. I got a major promotion? That's great, honey. Speaking of jobs, your brother is thinking about applying to this new place. Like, are you serious right now? The wedding thing, though, that really highlighted how little they valued me. $40,000. They paid for flowers that cost more than my entire wedding budget. And when I brought it up, my mom acted like I was being ungrateful. "Every wedding is different," she said. Yeah, one gets funded and one gets told to hit up City Hall. I started distancing myself after that conversation. Stopped going to every family dinner, stopped sharing big news first, stopped expecting anything. And you know what happened? They barely noticed. Took them 3 weeks to even call and ask if something was wrong. When they finally did reach out, it wasn't even an apology. My dad was like, "Your mother is upset that you're being distant. Not, 'We're sorry' or 'We want to understand.' Just upset that I wasn't playing along anymore." That's when I realized they didn't actually see me as a person with feelings. I was just a supporting character in their perfect son story. My brother didn't help either. He was so used to being the center of attention that he genuinely didn't understand why I was mad. "They helped me because I needed it more," he said. Needed it more? Dude had every advantage handed to him and still couldn't get his life together. But sure, he needed it more. The thing about golden child dynamics is that nobody wants to admit they're happening. If you bring it up, you're sensitive or jealous. If you pull back, you're difficult. There's no winning move except to remove yourself from the game entirely. So I made the decision. I sat down, wrote out everything I needed to say in a letter because I knew a phone call would just turn into them talking over me, and I sent it. I laid out every instance of favoritism, every time I felt invisible, every double standard. I wasn't mean about it. I just stated facts and said I needed space. My mom called 37 times in one day, not to apologize, to tell me I was being dramatic. My dad sent a text that said, "This is what therapy does to people." Like, yes, therapy made me realize I deserve basic respect. Crazy concept, right? My brother tried to play mediator, which was almost funny. He called me saying I was tearing the family apart. I asked him if he ever noticed how differently we were treated, and he dead-ass said, "Maybe you just weren't as easy to help." I hung up on him. That was 8 months ago. We haven't spoken since. Going no contact was terrifying at first. They were still my parents, you know? There's this guilt that comes with cutting off family, like you're supposed to just accept whatever because they're blood. But then I started actually living my life without constantly comparing myself to my brother or waiting for scraps of approval that never came. My mental health did a complete 180. I didn't realize how much energy I was spending trying to earn love that should have been unconditional. My therapist pointed out that I was constantly people-pleasing, always trying to prove I was worth caring about. Once I removed my parents from the equation, that pattern started breaking down. I got married 6 months ago. Small ceremony, exactly what I wanted. My best friends were there, my partner's family, people who actually showed up for me consistently. It was perfect. Someone asked if it was hard not having my parents there, and honestly, it wasn't. They'd already missed so many important moments while being physically present. Their absence didn't feel any different. My in-laws have been amazing. They treat me like I matter, ask about my life, remember things I tell them, basic stuff that should be normal but felt revolutionary. My mother-in-law asked to see my wedding photos like 4 times because she was genuinely excited. That's when I realized what I'd been missing. I've heard through relatives that my parents tell everyone I abandoned them over nothing, that I'm being manipulated by my partner, that I'll come crawling back eventually. It's wild how they made themselves the victims in a situation where they treated their own kid like an inconvenience for 3 decades. My brother apparently still lives with them. He's 30 now. I heard his business failed again and they're supporting him through another transition period. Some things never change. Part of me feels bad for him, honestly. He never learned to function independently because they never made him. But that's not my problem to fix anymore. The hardest part wasn't cutting them off. It was unlearning all the toxic patterns they created. I still catch myself minimizing my achievements or feeling guilty for taking up space. But I'm working on it. Having people around me who celebrate my wins instead of comparing them to someone else's has been life-changing. I've built my own family now. Friends who check in, who remember my birthday, who hype me up. A partner who thinks I'm worth investing in emotionally and financially. In-laws who include me in family traditions. It's what family should have been all along. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever reconcile with them, maybe if they acknowledged what happened and genuinely apologized. But I'm not holding my breath. People who favor one child over another don't usually wake up one day and realize they messed up. They just double down and blame the unfavored kid for being ungrateful. I don't hate my parents. I don't even think about them that much anymore, which is probably the wildest part. They consumed so much of my mental space for years, and now they're just people I used to know. The anger faded into indifference, which honestly feels like the healthiest outcome. For anyone dealing with golden child dynamics, it's not in your head. If you feel invisible, there's a reason. You're not being sensitive for wanting equal treatment. You're not dramatic for setting boundaries. And you're not a bad person for walking away from people who make you feel less than, even if they're family. Your worth isn't determined by whether your parents see it. I spent so long trying to be good enough for people who had already decided I wasn't the star of their show. Once I accepted that nothing I did would change their narrative, I was free to write my own. Going no contact isn't always the answer for everyone. But for me, it saved my life. I'm happier, healthier, and finally living for myself instead of for crumbs of validation. I have a career I'm proud of, a marriage built on mutual respect and actual peace. None of that was possible while trying to maintain a relationship with people who saw me as less important than my brother. Would I change anything? Honestly, I wish I'd done it sooner. Every family gathering I forced myself to attend, every phone call where I pretended everything was fine, every time I made myself smaller to avoid conflict, I was just prolonging the inevitable. My life now is everything I needed it to be. I wake up without that constant weight of not being enough. I celebrate my wins without wondering if they matter. And if my parents ever do want a relationship, they know where to find me. But I'm not waiting around anymore. I've got a life to live, and it's a pretty good one without them in it. So what do you think? Was I wrong for cutting them off? Should I have tried harder to make it work? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, make sure to hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it.